One, two, 1, 2.
Welcome to Radio Michael.
Welcome to Rise Above TV. This is a recorded message. Merry Christmas, everyone. There will be 3 of these broadcasts going out for Christmas. Me and Andy PG are having some time off. But don't forget, you can support Rise Above in the best way ever, which is by doing something like this. Going to Patreon. We've got much more to come on Patreon. What have we just recorded tonight?
We just recorded a update on the Christian far right.
Oh yeah, midweek Raw. We're gonna have another watch party. Videos are scheduled for the next 2 weeks going forward, so we're looking after everyone.
We might be doing something for New Year's as well. We're not sure yet.
Okay. And also, Andy PG, we've got to sign another one of these RAR drives going out. That's 5 now. 5 RAR drives have gone out. If you want to get one of these, you need to email riseabovelivestream@gmail.com.
It's got the full archive on it, guys.
Yeah. And also, there are some more tickets for the weekender. We've got an extra 50 tickets. We're going to maximum capacity at the venue. Get onto the website, go to the description, scan the QR code, and most of all, enjoy your Ramesh Schwab show that I've put together in the next couple of weeks. Right, guys, tonight the subject is the Mandela effect. I'm going to, no further ado, let's get both of our guests on the screen and in the chat. First of all, Shiva Shampoo. Hello, Shiva. How you doing?
Good. Nice one, man. Nice.
And also welcome Brian Stavely from Dose of Reality.
Hey, what's happening? Thanks for having me on.
How's it going, guys? Shiva, this is particularly early morning for you, no?
Yeah, it's like 2:15 a.m.
You're a soldier, brother.
And what time is it where you are, Brian?
It is 4:15 p.m.
4:15 p.m. So you've got 4:15 p.m. We're at 9 p.m.
9:15. Yeah.
And you're at 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
What a
2:15.
great spread across the time zones for us to start such an interesting subject as the Mandela effects. Isn't this a Mandela effect straight away? We're all experiencing 3 different times at the same time.
3 different times at the same time. And it's daylight savings time or saving time? I think it's daylight savings time.
I always get mixed up with what part of the year
Well,
it is.
it actually, for me and for millions of people, it was daylight savings time, right? I hear it all the time. Every time it's daylight savings time, you hear people say it on the news everywhere. But officially, it is now. I hear echo. You guys hear echo?
Yeah,
We don't have-
audio. Crap.
We didn't get any echo this end.
No, I can't hear any echo this end.
If anyone at
Okay,
home can
I'm
hear an
fine now.
echo, let us
It's
know.
gone now. It sounded like a huge fan started blasting.
Yeah, it was like,
That's just a restream gremlin. Carry on, guys.
okay, all right.
So is that our first Mandela effect we've mentioned already? The actual naming
Yeah.
of the time zone.
Yeah. Well, the
yeah.
daylight savings time has never existed, and it's always been daylight.
According to
saving.
this reality, it's always been daylight saving time, you know. But it's a very small effect, but
It's an effect nonetheless.
So maybe
It's
for
definitely
anyone that's unsure, we should start off with an actual definition of what is the Mandela effect. Let's
That's
start
great.
with
Yeah.
first principles.
Yeah, that's a perfect idea. So,
you start them off, Brian.
all right. So, what the Mandela effect? Yeah, and I'm getting a little bit of feedback too. I don't know if are you hearing that, Shiva?
I'm okay now. It's fine on my end.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that is weird. Hang on.
If you want to click echo cancellation, but you should only ever get that if you've got your speakers on.
Let me try. Hello. No, that worked. Let me try this.
You sound fine this end.
I hit. No.
Cancellation.
It was fine in the sound check.
Yeah, I know. It's feeding back into my headphones now.
Crazy. Yeah. Two
Okay,
windows.
would you like to give a definition of Mandela effect while Brian's just sorting that out, Shiva?
Okay. Yeah, Mandela effect. Well, it's according to me, or according to people who recognize that the phenomenon is actually happening. I guess you'd say it's changes, something that you remember in the past, and often something that you're really sure of too, something that you've seen maybe hundreds of times, like Mr. Rogers coming in and saying, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood," and you may have seen that. Some people have seen it every day, 5 days a week, for years. Oh, now I'm having the gremlin coming. The echo.
Yeah.
Now you go for it, Brian.
There seems to be a few people in the chat who seem to see this echo, and
Yeah.
other people saying it sounds good.
Okay,
It sounds
it's-
good at our end.
Have you got echo cancellation selected on the audio
I
settings?
definitely do, yeah.
Okay, well, I
Now
can't
it's
hear
fine.
any echo.
Now it's totally fine. It came in like.
Yeah. Maybe I should leave and come back in because I'm just
Yeah.
getting a loop.
Okay, we'll try that.
Awesome.
Sorry about this, guys. It's been a while since we've had
Yeah,
echo.
we haven't had
There's-
anything
no,
like that
no,
for
no.
ages.
Let's
Come on, Restream, get
Mandela
your shit
effect
together.
this episode back a few minutes.
Yeah, maybe we're suffering a Mandela effect right now.
Oh yeah, man. So,
Okay, so
Mandela-
It's currently 288 peasants tuned in.
that's not bad at all. Okay, it seems
Overwriting our memories as we speak.
audio starts good and then it echoes. Some people are saying.
Yeah.
Let's see if we
For
can
me,
get
it's
Brian
fun.
back in.
Yeah, how's it in the audience? How's the audience?
Some people are saying it sounds good, and others are saying there's echo.
Okay.
It's very confusing, guys.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
it just
echoing
comes
in
for
my
small
headset.
periods of time, like for a few seconds or 10 seconds or something.
Okay, let's assume
Maybe
that
it's
it's gone.
echoing in my headset. But it
Becky's
seems
just
like it's
messaged me
going
saying
away.
it keeps coming
Hang
and
on.
going. It's not a proper echo. It just sounds like he's in a tunnel.
Hello, test. It sounds like it's gone for now. So
Okay.
Yeah, should we go for it? Let's shoot, guys.
yeah,
Shoot.
I'll just jump right in. So what the
Go see
Mandela
the
effect
machine.
is,
All right.
what the Mandela effect is when something in this reality changes retroactively all the way back to its origin point. So whether it's a movie, a Bible, a book, a product that you have in your house, a car sitting in your driveway, when something is Mandela affected, the item and every official version of it is retroactively changed all the way back through the past. So what it's not is, it's not companies and logos and brands changing names. Like, people will use that argument, but like, of course we know that that's a thing. But this isn't what it is. So like a perfect example that most people are familiar with would be something like the cornucopia with the fruit of the loom, right? So many people, and I could have asked the audience, but many people are at least aware of this. Millions and millions and millions of people remember there being a cornucopia in the fruit of the loom logo, and that's a worldwide brand. Well, now there's never been a cornucopia in the fruit of the loom logo, no matter how far back you go. Even if you have the clothing in your house. Now, there are people that do make some fake videos that tend to go viral about some of these things, but none of that is legitimate. So that's basically what the Mandela effect is, a retroactive reality shift.
Right. Okay. And
A retroactive reality
a
shift.
retroactive
Yeah.
reality shift. And
Meaning all the way to the point of origin, like you saying, oh, okay, I'm going to go check my Bible. You say, okay, well, a friend of mine, for instance, he had to memorize his Bible, right? His mother and father, he was in this very strong Christian sect, and they made him memorize the entire Bible, especially the Old Testament. He had to slog through it. He knows his Bible intimately, right? This very Bible that he memorized, given to his mom. His mom died, and I said, hey, the lion shall lay with the lamb is now the wolf shall also dwell with the lamb.
Nah,
What?
see, that's wrong.
Yeah, of course.
That's
of course.
wrong, yeah.
It's a really famous one, right? It's iconic. So
I've never heard of that one. That's
Okay.
interesting.
Isaiah, chapter 11, verse 6. Now I said that to him, and he said, no way. And he said, I'll go get my Bible. I know. And he went to get his Bible, and he came back, and he was just like, oh, whoa. And he took a screenshot of it. He was like, I don't understand. And, people are thinking that they're going to find the Bible, or if I go back long enough, or like I have a VHS copy, I'm going to see mirror, mirror on the wall, right? I'm not going to see magic mirror on the wall, right? That's a really obvious one. Don't give that one away, right? It's mirror, mirror on the wall. Everyone knows it's mirror, mirror. Now it's magic mirror on the wall. I had a similar situation. A friend of mine has a VHS tape, which he's watched like 50 times with his family, right? And he knows 100% it's mirror, mirror on the wall. And I said, go check it now. And he checked it now. Now it says magic mirror on the wall.
Now, see, that's wrong again. I know that's wrong because when I was young, my parents, I had this VHS, it's old school, and I had that, and it said mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah,
I haven't got it now, but I
Yeah.
know that's what it said.
Well, and that's the thing. So when we say retroactive reality shift, if the Mandela effect was just a psyop, right? Like a lot of people tend to believe that it is, and we're just misremembering or whatnot. So if it was just a psyop, and say companies change things, but then they wanted to deny it. Let's just say. So what somebody would say is, oh well, it was mirror, mirror, and then they changed it to magic mirror. Well, what we're saying is, if you pull out any old copy of the movie that you might have, it's going to say magic mirror now. It's not going to say mirror, mirror. Even if you did still have your movie that you watched 100 times,
Right.
it's going to say magic mirror on it now. And I'm getting a lot of echo and feedback.
right. Let's get this sorted because
we need to sort this out.
people are actually. I think Shiva. It sounds like you've got two mics on, mate.
Right. Well, right
Can you go
now,
and-
I just have one mic on. I heard it for about 10 seconds.
Can you just refresh? Can you just kick yourself out and refresh your connection?
Yeah, let me do that.
That usually sorts it out. And we'll have a quick chat with Brian for a moment.
So I don't know, Brian, you're obviously an expert on the Mandela effect. There's an English one. There's an English company of crisps called Walker's Crisps. I think they're Lay's in the States.
Yeah, I'm
and there's a
familiar with
famous
this
one in the UK about they changed the colour of the crisp packet for salt and
the
vinegar.
green and the blue, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
swapped.
yeah. Because it's interesting because every other brand of crisps or chips, it is like green for it's blue for salt and vinegar. And they've switched it around.
Well, because it makes sense that green would be for cheese and onion, because an onion is green, it's not blue.
Yeah.
Blue is the colour of the sea, and that's where you get salt
that's
from,
the
salt and vinegar.
Yeah.
But I just want to rewind a little bit while we're going through definitions with Brian, and we'll just invite
I
Shiva
would
back
like to
in.
get into it a little more because the echo kind of distracted me when I was trying to explain it. So let's rewind a little for sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's hope that.
Guys, let us know in the chat. Not everyone, just a few, like one or two. Let us know in the chat if that sounded good. Because everyone on the panel say something.
If you could just say a few lines, Shiva.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just let us know in the chat, guys, if it's good, and then we'll
It sounds
continue.
fine to us. We'll just wait for some feedback in the live chat that there's no
Yeah.
echo or any feedback or anything like that.
To me, I don't hear anything right now.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
Right, we've got a thumbs up. So we're back to getting down to first principles and actually defining exactly what the Mandela effect is. Can I just bring up the name, right? For anyone that doesn't know, let's set this straight. Why is it called the Mandela effect?
Well, okay, that's actually a very huge question. It's a little bit more advanced than you might think, right? Because you have Nelson Mandela, right? When things, there's that gremlin again, just came and went. All right, so Nelson Mandela, you know who that is, former leader of South Africa. So the story goes that some people think that he died in the, long time ago, in the early 90s or something like this, late 80s, early 90s, 89 maybe, and then he ended up being alive, and he got out of jail. Some people think he died in jail and he got out. Now, people think, I don't really like the name. Originally, I didn't like the name because I thought, what does this have to do with this amazing phenomenon that's going on, right? And why him? And so I'm thinking, it was probably a name installed by nefarious agencies like the CIA or whatever to blackwash or make the whole thing look foolish and distract people and all that kind of stuff. And that's partially true. However, the word Mandela has some pretty interesting meanings if you break it down to the word Mandela. All right? I can get into it now, but I think this is a little bit beyond first principles. So maybe we get into another question and we talk about this one later, because this one's a little bit deep in terms of Mandela has 7 translations in the German language, and they're all really relevant.
Yeah, maybe we'll ease into that a little bit later then.
Yeah. Okay,
that's really advanced for later in the talk.
Yeah, I only mention that because I'm one of the people that can actually remember Nelson Mandela dying in 1989 or 1991.
I do too.
You do as well, because I've only met a couple of other people that actually. But obviously, I hold both memories because I know now that he didn't die in prison.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a mistake. I read it in the newspaper, right? I was reading lots of newspapers at that time, and I read it, and I was like, oh yeah, that guy, because I'd known who he was. And then I thought, he died. He'd been in jail for a really long time, and then he died in jail. And then I didn't think any more of it, right? And then a few years went by, and then he got released from jail, and then he's going to be the leader of South Africa. And I'm like, didn't he die? And I thought, I guess, maybe it was just a mistake. Then I thought maybe it was one of those things in the newspaper, they jumped the gun and they put it in. At that time, I believe newspapers actually did news. And they made a mistake, but I didn't read the retraction. That's what I thought. But I thought people think they saw the funeral on TV and stuff. Now, I don't know. Now, how deep does this go? Now, could this have been some crazy plot where in some countries they put this out there to confuse people away from a real effect that there's nothing they can do about? I mean, if you change the Ford logo on millions of cars worldwide, right? That's not an online thing. It's not a CIA thing. It's absurd. It's a supernatural phenomenon that's dealing with the fluidity of reality itself, right? If you do an online change, you could say, oh, it's some supercomputer from a nefarious agency doing something and screwing with your mind, right? And it's possible, right? But when you're talking about physical objects, it's beyond that, right? Anyway,
Guys, people saying the echo's still there. Like we need to sort it out.
Much better now on Shiva as well for sound.
okay.
I just muted us, and that seemed to make things better. So I think it's a case that we'll just mute each other when we're not talking. Okay, so it goes deeper. It goes deeper than just Nelson Mandela. That's for sure. Brian, is there anything we need to get on the table while we're still talking about definitions here?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So when you muted it, the echo's going away. So that'll work a little better. I think I defined it pretty well, but I would like to elaborate on it a little bit. First off, it's not just to do with like products and movies and stuff like that. And we're going to get into some bigger aspects of it later. But even if it was just something you had sitting in your home, if that, for lack of a better term, supernaturally changed its form, and it did that retroactively all the way back throughout time. So here's the thing, right? So with the mirror, right? And what the queen says in the mirror in Snow White, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. I always talk about this little experiment. Like if I were to lock 100 people in a grocery store, right, 100 random adults, and I were to say to them, what does the queen say in the mirror in Snow White? 99 or 100 out of 100 are all going to tell me mirror, mirror, which has allegedly never been the case in this reality. Okay, so if you owned that movie and it's sitting in your house and it retroactively changed like that, and all copies of it everywhere in the world, then what we think about time and physical matter and what we thought were possible in this universe, or what wasn't possible, well, that's all completely out the window, because this is indeed happening. So even if it was just mirror, mirror, or it was just a pair of Skechers, the Skechers sneakers, and you guys might be familiar with them. Well, Skechers used to be spelled Sketchers. Well, now every pair of Skechers in the world has never had a T. Now, if you own the sneakers and they're sitting in your house and you know that they had a T, well, your sneakers didn't survive the Mandela effect. Like your sneakers have a T, no longer have a T in them anymore. Retroactive reality shifts to physical items in your house. I mean, Shiva brought up the Ford logo a few minutes ago. And maybe I could share my screen real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Let me just see if I have that one ready to bring up. Yeah, actually I do. 1 second.
Residue, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the...
You're actually muted, Shiva. You might want to start that sentence again.
Okay, so you've heard of the term residue. That's what we call things that reflect the reality that we remember, the original reality that isn't around anymore. So all the official things, if you get Star Wars, all the official things will be changed, but you'll have references to that thing that are the way you remember. And in some cases, you'll have hundreds or thousands of references to that thing. And you're thinking, why are they all referencing it incorrectly, right? If it didn't change, right? And it did change, in my opinion. So that's what he's showing now. And this is the one thing a lot of people that try to say, oh, the Mandela effect isn't there, they won't really address residue, because residue is one of those things that just shows you so clearly what's going on. So anyway, here's the Ford logo.
So
back over to Brian.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I just changed the screen share to not give away what I was going to show. I have an image I'm going to show, but I want people to think about what the Ford logo looks like. And then I'm going to show you what it actually is now in this reality. So I want everybody to picture the Ford logo.
Okay.
And this is what it looks like now.
That's wrong.
I don't remember that.
It's way more curly.
This is how it used to look. This is a photoshopped image, okay? This is how the F used to look in the Ford logo. That's how I remember it always being, okay?
Yeah, that's it. Nice and curly.
Now it's this. So what this means is even if you own a Ford and it's sitting in your driveway and it's been, you could have a Ford F-150 that's 60 years old, an old pickup truck. The emblem's going to look like this, the new reality way. Nobody came to your house and went in your driveway, switched out your emblems, switched out your movies, swapped out your Bibles. That's not what's happening here at all. And when Shiva was speaking of residual evidence, so the Ford logo is literally based off of, well, Henry Ford and his signature. Let's take a look at Henry Ford's signature. So I'm going to go to my Ford folder right here. Yeah, when you guys mute up, the echo is completely gone. So I don't know if there's a different way you can route your audio to us, because every time you come back, it just loops through.
It's cool, man. Every time we need to say something, we're just unmuting ourselves.
Here's Henry Ford's actual signature. It's a straight bar on the F. There's no freaking curly thing on it. So not only do we have everybody's corroborating memory on these things, right? We also have physical evidence called residue, which they don't address. So a lot of people think that they're familiar, and I'm going to take this off the screen. A lot of people think that they're familiar with the Mandela effect, and this isn't their fault. This is because the media misrepresents everything, right? Every free thinking thing, every outside the box thing, every so-called conspiracy theory, the media completely represents it. There's no question about that. So what the media does is very clever when they present the Mandela effect. And what they do is they'll give you some like lists. Hey, here's top 40 Mandela effects. First thing you should notice is it's almost always just products and logos and brands. It's not any of the really jaw-dropping stuff that we'll get to in a bit. But then on top of it, what people should find completely disingenuous, even if they've never looked at this topic, is after today, you're going to realize that we have a lot of this residue. When we say residue, we mean physical evidence. So back to mirror, mirror for a second, because there's so much of this residual, right? Even though now it's always been magic mirror, not only do you guys remember mirror, mirror, and Shiva, and probably everybody in the chat, the 100 people I locked in the grocery store, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? We also have all this merchandise and drawings and people doing videos and people quoting it everywhere. Even Disney themselves, when they remake the Snow White with live action characters, they're using the quote, mirror, 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 mirror on the wall. We have Henry Ford's signature, which now doesn't match the Ford logo that we all remember, which doesn't match the current Ford logo. The logo we all remember matches his signature. So my point of bringing that up is these articles that address the Mandela effect, they won't tell you about any of this. Like when we talk about Bible changes later, we have residual evidence that goes back 800 years. People, you already brought up lion and the lamb earlier, now it's the wolf. Well, we've shown people that have done sculptures and statues going back 800 years with chapter and verse engraved on the statue. The sculpture and the statue is of a lion with a lamb, right? Says Isaiah 11:6, the lion shall lay with the lamb right on it.
Sorry, Brian.
Now
Question before you move on, because there's quite a lot of info. The statue you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The thing that's funny, right? Earlier when you said about the Ford logo, right? You said no one's gone into your garage and changed the logo physically, right? So it's just changed in the construct. Okay, we'll just call it the construct. Whatever you think of the world is, we'll just call it a construct for whatever's sake. So you said there that there's a statue with the original verse on it. If everything was changed text-wise, like your logos and stuff like that, wouldn't that have been changed as well?
No, because when a Mandela effect happens, it's just the one official thing. So the Bibles have all changed. The verse in the Bibles have changed.
Okay.
People have tattoos. Isaiah 11:6, the lion and the lamb. The artwork remains. The tattoos remain.
Gotcha, right.
People's drawings of geography before the maps changed. Their drawings remain. It's just the official thing.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm with you now. I'll follow you. Yeah.
So the fact that the articles that you think are not you guys personally, but the articles that people think are representing the Mandela effect by talking about it, They won't even bring up that we have residual evidence. So what they do is they leave you in a state of mind where you could think, well, you know, maybe the companies did just change it. First thing they want you to believe is that it's false memory. But then if it's just products and brands and stuff like that, and they don't address any of the evidence, it still doesn't make it a very convincing thing for you all. It's a complete misdirection, in my opinion.
So does that mean that they know something? If they're
Of
deliberately,
course.
yeah, that means they know something. Yeah.
Are you kidding me, dude? Yeah, of course they do. I mean, there's a huge war on for your memory and your mind right now, and I've never seen so much of this stuff, right, Shiva? I mean, it's everywhere now. How bad your memory is. My senses aren't failing. You know what's messed up? Not my senses. What's messed up is this reality, and people are clinging on to it. They're clinging on to
Trying
it
to make sense of it. They want the peasantry in a state of confusion. That's why they're more than happy to hide the truth and let people just walk around confused as fuck.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh, you can hear
you're
me now?
unmuted. I'm just trying to fight this echo, but but you're unmuted at the moment.
Cool.
You go for it. Your time, Shiva.
Oh, no, just a little bit. Yeah, I was just going to say about you asked a question about are they trying to, suppress it, keep people from. There's definitely some people that are aware this is going on, not only us, right?
But
And
what
they're
I'm getting at
trying
is
to-
there must be a beneficial reason for them to keep it.
Yeah, well, what they're trying to distract you from realizing what this is, or at least realizing the nature of it, right? If you start to realize that it's going on, they're going to say, "Oh, it's CERN in the fabric of space and time," or it's Satan screwing with your mind, or whatever it is, something fear-based, something strange that keeps you in a state of a prison, right? Rather than realizing that reality is fluid. This is a communication from the divine, and it's actually a really positive thing, right? So they don't want you to know that, as always, right? But okay, so who's in on it? You may wonder. You've got like name changes. So you've got like Steve Seagal, right? He's got CIA connections, that guy, right? Now, Steve Seagal was, this is stupid. Who do I care about this guy? Bad actor. Who do I care about his movie? But his name was Seagal, Segal, right? Steve Seagal. You've seen it hundreds of times.
Yep.
Now it's always been Seagal, like almost like a seagull, like seagull. Now you think to yourself, that's just ridiculous. And he didn't change his name. It's always been that way. And if you went up to him, you theoretically, in a physical world within the bookends, you'd go up to him and say, "Buddy, I know that you're screwing with us. Your name was Segal, right? How much are they paying you? Blah, 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 blah. I tell you."
I remember it was spelt like that because it was on Waterworld. I remember that because I had the physical VHS video.
Yeah.
Of it.
Now go check your VHS. It'll be EA. That's weird. Now the thing is, now if you had written it by hand, that would still be the original spelling, but the official one would be there. Now, if you go up to him and say, "Look, dude, you're in on it. I know you know," right? The thing is, by now I'm not sure about anything, but I think he doesn't know. He thinks his name has always been SEA. His family, the Seagal family, Franco Colombo, now he's Colombo. You go and meet his family. You go back to Sardinia, you're going to see the family tree of the Columbus. You're going to be like, what the hell? I mean, entire history has been generated. I know that sounds insane.
Can I say something more insane? Back to Steven Seagal, right? I do remember. Right. I remember throughout my childhood that the nickname for Steven Seagal was obviously just to call him Steven Seagal. Could it be possible that enough people, enough sentient meat suit operators around the world kept repeatedly calling him Steven Seagal, and it actually affected the construct? Is that out of the question, guys?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, since time is not really happening as it is like right now, perhaps your future self said, "Man, I'm going to go back in time and tell those people to start calling him Seagal so that this change will be affected later on." And they'll see that, this is the connection between the times.
That could definitely happen. And when you have me and Shiva both unmuted, I think we're fine. It's just like sometimes when you guys aren't muted when we're talking, but right
Yeah,
now
I
it's
think
okay.
it gets a little bit overloaded, so I'll just keep
It's
muting us.
weird.
I'll leave you two. Yeah, it didn't do it in the sound check. It never normally does this.
So weird.
So I'll mute us and I'll let you guys go on.
Yeah. So when you get to the name changes, like there's probably thousands of these, maybe tens of thousands. I mean, there's so many I recognize. Now, the problem is when you introduce people that are new to the Mandela effect, we try and come with the reason we started with like Fruit of the Loom and Mirror Mirror is because it's so recognizable and already you're getting people to resonate with the few of them. I don't want to go through too many name changes because we want to hit people with some harder stuff first because people will be like, oh, you just don't know how to spell. Who cares if this person had a name, had an S on it or whatnot? But if you look right now, like for instance, a couple that are really pretty mind blowing, I think that people don't talk about enough. If you were to look at LaToya Jackson, right? Are you familiar with LaToya Jackson?
Yeah, sure, man.
Let me
sure.
bring up a screen share before you guys even look, and I'll play the game with you guys too. So
It's
check
Michael's
this out.
sister.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a couple of name changes real quick. So,
Okay.
So check this out, guys. So,
To me, Charles M. Schultz is probably one of the biggest name changes.
yeah. Can you put my screen up?
Yes, let's go.
There we go. There we go.
Let me get rid of this
So-
QR code. 1 sec.
There
Yeah,
are
yeah, no
there are a
problem.
couple of Michael Jackson Mandela
So
effect.
LaToya Jackson was spelled like this. Now watch what happens to her first name. Her first name is split into two words now.
No way. No way.
100%.
Now she's always been La Toya. Here's another one too. Check this one out. You guys are all familiar with Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Look at his name now. Now his last name is split in half.
Michael.
De Niro. The famous preacher from New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. Many people know him. Televangelist Joel Osteen. He's now Joel Osteen.
Osteen.
It goes on and on. Like we could do this all day with name changes. I don't want to do this all day, but
Jim
think
Baker.
about how deep that is. If somebody's name changed, wow, that's pretty big because their whole family name had changed. Now there's a name change over here that's really huge that I don't know if you guys would be familiar with it in the UK, but there's a very famous brand of avocado, a type of an avocado, begins with an H. Are you guys familiar with that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll play along for people that might be, playing along in the chat. So I remember, as millions of people do, Haas avocado. Okay, Haas.
I know these avocados.
Okay,
I used
no,
to
you
use
don't.
these when I lived in New Zealand.
Not in this reality, pal, because now they
I used to have one. I used to have one S. I used to have one S.
Now they
Haas.
have.
Not even
Yeah.
the vegetables are safe. Not even the vegetables are safe.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So
No
I'm going
way.
to tell you a little bit about this. So there's a lot to this one, and I know this doesn't seem like a big deal, but let's think about the English language for a second, right? So now it's always been Haas, Hass. Now I remember Haas, as do you guys, right? And not only is it spelled weird, like when do we ever use A's like that, 2 A's in a row in an English word, and Haas? Why, if it was always Haas like this, which rhymes with pass, would we all quote unquote misremember, insert an extra A in there, and pronounce a word as weird as Haas when it's always been Haas? But it gets deeper than that. So here's where the residual evidence comes in. Check this out, right? So like I said, so if you go to get an official Haas avocado and you go to the grocery store, and let's just say it has the little stickers from the company they put on the fruit, or it's sitting there in the official display that came from the company. Well, it's been Mandela affected. Now it's always been Hass, Hass. So their displays are going to have the new reality. So are the stickers. Many of these stores, including Walmart, Kroger's, and many other huge retailers in the world, right? Their computer systems still have not updated yet. So you can go there and they're going to sell you what says Hass on it, the new reality. You can still get a printed receipt for Haas, even though it allegedly never existed, because the Mandela effect didn't change the computer systems of all these different grocers. It happened with another one. Are you familiar with the spice called turmeric?
Yes. Turmeric. Yeah.
Yeah. So check it out. Check this out.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Stop
Now
it. No way. Stop it. It never
Now-
was spelled like that. No, not in
Yeah,
a million
This
years.
is brilliant.
Now
Yeah.
now it's turmeric, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
now, so check this out. Just the other day, I went to Food Lion, another grocery store near where I'm at, right? I go to Food Lion, and I did a video on it. I do short videos. I do a lot of long live streams like you guys do, but I do some interesting short uploads. So I went to the grocery store, and I saw on the display that the I could just play it. Do you mind if I play a 60-second video?
Yeah, play it, dude.
Yeah,
sure.
go for it. Go for it.
That'd be great. I mean, I don't want to come on and like hog the whole thing playing a bunch of videos.
No,
but
it's your time, man. Go for it.
yeah, you guys will like this. Where is that little? Here it is. So check this out. It's only 60 seconds. And then I have a follow-up video that's about 60 seconds.
We're not getting the audio, but I guess that's not so important.
Oh, no. It is important. Hang
Okay,
on.
basically, when you share your screen, you have to go back to the share screen menu, and you have to click in the bottom right corner to also share your audio.
Hang on 1 second. I can do it without doing that. Here you go. You should be able to hear it now. You hear it?
New crib. And
Yeah, we got it.
So I'm shopping at Food Lion, and I come over to look at the spice, see what I need for the new crib. And just like with many Mandela effects and these retail stores, the official spelling on the packaging will represent the new reality. Turmeric is now turmeric with an extra R. And they'll say, oh, you Mandela effect people don't have any evidence. You're just misremembering. Well, why do we consist?
So
Holy
you see that
shit.
right there? No R. No, let's get the second one, but no first R. And because that's not the Mandela affected product. No, a lot of the Mandela affected things will get updated eventually by all their systems and everything. But after I made this video, right, I even said, I'm going to go back because I know that if I go back there, since it's in their POS system like that, I can go and buy this and get a printed receipt, and it's probably going to say it the old way. So I went back and bought it. Here's the video. Fast forward a little.
So, just leaving Food Lion, right in, and bought some turmeric, which is now turmeric, but the POS system, well, not the POS system, but the barcode underneath the product had it spelled the old way. Let's see what the receipt says.
Turmeric, not turmeric. This is significant. Residual
Yeah.
evidence.
I'm noticing a pattern here, mate. It's almost like the secondary way that these spellings are recorded, i.e., on like a sign, a label, or a till receipt. It's like that hasn't been updated yet because it's not the primary way. It's not the label on the actual product. Do you get what I'm saying? So the label on the physical product is like the layer 1 representation,
For sure, bro.
and that gets updated first. This is I didn't know this.
No, mate, this is
yeah,
crazy.
Lance, the
Yes.
other thing, okay, so let's say you take a photo, right? You're sitting there going, another one that Brian has some great residue for, the thinker statue. You know the thinker statue, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Imitate it for me. What's the thinker statue look like?
Like
you might
this.
be affected by the okay. So you're affected by the new reality. But now, as far as I know, and we'll show you some very significant residue. Let's get this one up because this one's like
I'm ready. Just keep going. I'm ready.
yeah, this is like a really good example of residue and a good example of what you're just talking about the second layer. Okay. But in this case, the second layer changes. Okay. If you had a third layer, this is a speculation. If you had someone making a drawing, I don't think the drawing would change. But that's another topic. For this, you have the thinker statue, right? Which used to be, for me, the right fist on the forehead.
Yeah, that's it. That's how I remember it.
On the forehead.
Yeah, like that. And he's
Not-
bent
not-
over. The dude's bent over.
Yeah, on
On the knee.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Bent
yeah.
over and the elbow on this knee. Okay. But now it's changed. And according to a few people and myself, according to quite a few people, it changed more than once. But so that there's Arnold Schwarzenegger doing the famous pose of the thinker. which is
I know this, Shiva. I know this because I don't know if you're aware. There's a content creator called John Levi.
Sure.
There's
Yeah.
architecture and stuff. Yeah, sure, you know.
Sure, bro.
He's done many a video, right, with a statue of the Thinker statue of like this pose, the old pose, and it's still like that. If you go to YouTube now and watch a John Levi video, he will showcase a statue with them in this pose.
Yeah, now I'm seeing this. This is actually, I do remember this as well.
Yeah.
This is how it was originally.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the thing. So people will say, "Oh, wow, I had my photo taken with the imitating this pose with the Thinker statue. I'm going to go home and check my photo." So, makes sense. You're like, I'm going to have evidence of the way it used to be, because this photo is a photo sitting in my drawer. It's not online, right? So here's the photo. Look at the statue. The statue is now it's in the new way. And the elbow is on the left knee. That lady has her fist closed on her forehead. Now, why would she be doing that? Unless she was imitating the way it used to be. So the human being didn't change. And maybe if you made a sketch of her with your hand, it might not change. But the photo changed and the original statue changed.
That is so interesting, man.
That's
freaky.
So, when the Mandela effect changes something, right? To clarify this even a little further, when the Mandela effect changes anything, so you're probably familiar with even something, whatever it is, whether it's, say it's the Berenstain Bears, which is now the Berenstain. Most people have heard of that, right? So even if you took a picture of a book when it was Berenstain, when you took it, you took a picture of the book, right? Now the Mandela effect's changed it. All the Berenstain are now Berenstain books in everybody's possession. You're gonna be like, well, I got proof that the Mandela effect changes. I'm gonna go pull out my photo, and you pull out a photo of when you took a picture of that book. That photo is gonna be changed. Video is gonna be changed. If you videotape or take a photograph of the official thing that's Mandela affected, your photo will change. So that's what we're seeing here. And because here's another example, right? Fist under the chin, right? And here's the crossover, like Shiva's talking about. It was not crossed over the leg. But look at this guy again, fist to the head, and his arms not crossed over across his body. Why would these people continually come to a statue and pose the wrong way?
This is a holographic construct.
They didn't pose the wrong way. They posed the way it was. The Mandela effect changed this item after the fact and retroactively all the way back through time, and it changed all the photographs of the Mandela affected item, but not the people. And then there's one that's
Brian, I've got a quick question. So from what I can tell, you're saying that if a human being wrote something down, it wouldn't change. If a human being input something into a computer and printed it out, it wouldn't change. But the actual physical thing, it changed. Does that mean?
I say something?
Yeah, of course, Shiva, yeah.
Sorry. No. Finish your question.
I was going to ask so let's call it a construct again. So would that mean that the construct can't affect anything biological or anything done by a biological being?
I would say wrong. Absolutely not, because it's not.
Okay.
I think the creator said biological, and we have changes in the human body, which we're not going to get to yet, but we're going to get there. So it absolutely can change those things. But for the most part on this stuff, it doesn't. It doesn't seem to want to change things that are done with human expression, human creativity, and all this. It changes the Mandela, not that creativity to go into a statue, but all the stuff around it.
Sure. But I mean, to an extent, a human being writing something down on a bit of paper is creativity. Even them inputting something into a computer and then going to the trouble of printing it out, it might not look pretty, but it is creating something. It is still organic, if you want to call it that. It's done by an organic being.
I agree with you. It's a good point. And as you said, for the most part, it seems to be this way, but not always. That's the thing. The Mandela effect, since I believe it's the divine, it can do anything.
Because I thought what I was getting at in my brain, because this is overload for me. I didn't know anything about all this stuff. Sure. This is weird as fuck. I was getting at, well, if this is a generated AIX construct, maybe it can't touch the undersoul's beings or anything they've done. Okay. But if that's not the case, then it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, the oversoul, not the undersoul.
I don't know if we can put any limitations on what can be done, right? Like we with our little minds, we're trying to say, even though we can be very smart, right? But we're like, well, no, I think it can only affect this, but it can't affect this if I make a drawing. In my opinion, it could affect the drawing if it wanted to. It can do whatever it wants. It's God. It is the everything, right? Can change the everything because it is the everything. We're inside this dream, right? So it can change it. So I don't think that there's any, but it's leaving intentionally these little things so that we notice. That's not the only reason it's doing. That's the first stage, right? It's giving us a little, hey, ting, ting, ting. And we're like, what? And we notice it. Now, if both things had changed, we wouldn't notice it as much. We'd be like, oh, yeah, well, no, I guess I imitated it. We wouldn't give it any thought. But the fact that it's different, because it could do what it wants. It could just change it. It could overwrite your memory. Then you wouldn't remember. What would be the fun in that, right? So I believe these little things are being left as, little Easter eggs for us to find. If you're, clever enough, or if you're ready to see that, you can see it,
If you're paying attention.
Yeah. And if you're not ready for it, it's not a bad thing. It's just that, your brain is like brain science is a bit weird, but let's say the amygdala, right, is regulating what you can observe, what you can see, and it's like, no, that's a bit too much for the guy. So it doesn't let you see that. And it says, okay, I'm going to give it a little bit more information, So you may not be ready for certain concepts in your life. So it doesn't matter what's shown to you. You're just going to resist it. Right. So.
Check this out. So this is probably our favorite picture to do with this, right?
Yeah.
And if you guys aren't clear on what we're saying about the photography and the video, changing with the Mandela affected item, please let us know or in the chat, and we'll elaborate on that more. But again, if a photo or video is taken of any Mandela affected thing before the change happens. If you go and pull out your photos or videos, they're going to show the new reality. So this would be the new reality. Now, why am I saying that this was definitely taken before and not just after the fact? Look at this. A whole school trip.
Holy shit.
Children all posing the quote unquote wrong way. So
I will just play devil's advocate there, Brian.
Yeah.
All it takes is for one person to start doing it, and the sheep will follow.
So why would the teacher sit here and have them pose?
Absolutely. I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit. I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm actually fully in agreement with you that, yeah, these guys actually, like, their body knows what to do. Their consciousness knows it didn't change. But some people might say that, all of them are doing it just because one or two were doing it.
Yeah. We got to play devil's advocate sometimes, but this is uncanny because there's 20 people.
Yeah, adults as well. So yeah, I'm fully in agreement that this is this is what's going on.
Sure.
Yeah, believe me.
Yeah.
I just thought, I have to appeal to all the peasants.
Oh yeah,
of course. But as we can see, obviously the teacher has them get in frame, or whoever this guy is. That he's not going to have 20 kids sitting there posing the wrong way right in front of the statue. You know what I mean? So I think this is a very significant piece of residual evidence.
Yeah, I think it's a really good one. The thing is, though, the interesting thing about the Mandela effect, it's very kind. You'll see there's an intelligence behind it. There's a compassion behind it. There's a desire to bring you into a kind of a correction, that there's some weird stuff going on in the world, and, how to make it better and how to be a more integrated person and whatever. I'm not just talking bullshit. I mean, totally mean that. It's a very deep thing, actually. And stuff like this is just like, you could always, as you say, try to, appeal to the peasants. You could always just wish it away. There's always an option. You say interview with a vampire, interview with
It's
a
easier
vampire.
that way. It's easier to just.
Yeah, exactly. You're saying, well, either reality can change all the way, or like, no. What's the other option? And the other option is, oh, well, companies always change their logo on the fruit of the loom. You just think it's some leaves, and you're like, what? Okay, well, that's good enough for me, because the other one is too weird, right? I mean, and after a while, though, there's just too many. You can't just keep taking that option, but it always does give you an option to opt out of it. Even that one with the kids like this, I'm sure there's a way you could justify it somehow.
While we're still talking about examples, I need to put it on the table. The one that really did it for me when I first started hearing about Mandela effects was the James Bond, the Jaws one with the with the girl at the end with the braces. Now I remember watching that as a kid. I remember other people there watching it with me. I remember seeing her very noticeable metal braces covering her teeth, and she smiled. And the whole reason for the whole scene was that Jaws had metal teeth too, so they had something in common.
He found his true love.
To then see the new version of it, where she has no braces, she has normal teeth. Not only was it shocking, it also makes the scene completely not make sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it's now there's so many examples, right? And we're getting there. But to think that everybody, because I still see some people saying collective misremembering and delusion. It's like how do people all around the world that know each other collectively misremember, quote unquote, the exact same things as each other? You know what I mean? Like over and over and over.
Yeah,
and over.
one for me is the Monopoly dude with a monocle. Yeah, like I distinctively remember that because I used to run around when I was a little boy like that because our
100%.
family used to play Monopoly because they're money hungry secondary psychopaths. But it definitely had a fucking monocle on it. The dude
and
had
what's
a
his
monocle,
name?
man.
And what's his name? The guy's name.
I don't know.
I didn't know he had a name.
He has a name, yeah. You know this one?
No,
Brian?
no, go on, Shiva, go on.
You say his name, right? His name. Many people remember him as Moneybags, right? That's the
now he's Rich Uncle Pennybags.
Rich Uncle Penny.
I've never heard either of those. But, right.
Speaking of the
What is
monocle,
going on?
the monocle is so iconic. So like we're not talking. We're gonna talk about my uncle's graduation for a minute, Shiva. We're not talking about my uncle's graduation video.
Let's talk about your uncle's graduation, man. You bring it up a lot.
I'm not saying, hey, there's this Mandela effect in my uncle's graduation video. Believe it, right? We're talking about some of the most iconic things.
Look, guys, I think the Monopoly dude is he's a double whammy, right? It's his name and his monocle. Most Mandela effects, correct me if I'm wrong, is only one thing. Is that right? Oh no! Fuck me! I got okay. Sorry, cancel that. Right? Okay.
No.
Right, spill it, boys. Spill it. Lay it out.
Let's stick on the monocle for a minute because so many of the most iconic accessories are missing from people. Like it's unbelievable.
Right.
So him not having a monocle. Are you guys familiar with Richard Simmons, the workout guy?
Yes.
What's he known for wearing? What's
Like a leotard, like a spandex leotard.
Anything else? Any accessories?
He had like little shorts, like a fluffy afro.
Fluffy afro.
Maybe a headband.
Headband,
like a
yeah.
sweatband.
Headband.
Of course, he wore a sweatband to hold his afro back. Yeah.
No, I'll challenge you because I know you can't do it. You won't be able to find one picture of him anywhere or a video of him anywhere wearing a headband.
Nowhere.
Completely erased from reality. He looks completely
Even the dark web.
just like the Monopoly Man. So the Monopoly Man, no longer has the monocle, right? You know what they're trying to
The
tell
monocle
us?
was his trademark. That was his main thing. The dude.
It's what
the
made him
monocle.
super posh.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Is it like real ultra posh people wear a fucking monocle? And if you're the Monopoly dude in your tuxedo with your top hat, your cane, you're gonna wear a fucking monocle.
Hey, bro, what did Tom Cruise wear in Risky Business when he did that dance?
Oh,
That's
I don't think I've seen that movie, man. I tried to keep my mind control to a minimum.
Me too, as well. But like, if you have a sister or some other, you're gonna watch it. Okay, so he wears this shirt, right? This shirt. The shirt's changed as well. But okay, everybody's gonna know this. But he wears sunglasses. Like he has sunglasses. Now they're gone. They're completely gone. It's okay if that one doesn't mean anything to you. That one for some people is like, no way.
No. I'm just looking at the comments, Shiva. People are saying shades, sunglasses.
Yeah, he's never had them in that scene now. That famous scene where he has the underwear and he had a white shirt on and sunglasses and he would do this dance routine. Now he has no glasses and a pink shirt. So again, you can check your own copies. You can do what I did when several years ago in like 2018 when I first started videos and I wanted to show people about the Monopoly Man and the monocle. I went and checked the two versions of Monopoly that I had in my house. One was from like the 1960s. There's no monocle on the Monopoly Man. It's not like these things were just reissued and reprinted, they've been completely erased from reality.
On every physical Monopoly board in existence.
On every physical one. And there's a lot of popular brands too that like people might know, like Kit Kat. You guys familiar with the Kit Kat candy bar?
Of course.
It's never had a dash now.
Yeah, we know that. That one is like a classic one.
I'm just Googling Kit Kat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to have a dash between the kit and the cat, and that's a pattern we see. I'll get you another one too. Check this out. So after you do that, speaking of the dash, I'd like to take the screen back if I can.
Yeah. Get your screen up. I'm just having a look here. I do remember a dash for sure.
So the dash is gone from the Kit Kat. Now check this out. You guys are familiar with the cartoon Beavis and Butthead?
I love Beavis and Butthead.
There you go.
Watch this.
It's
Watch
going to
this.
surprise you then.
Butthead's name is now hyphenated and always has been in this reality.
No way. Stop it. That's not true. Wait a minute. I've got a Beavis and Butthead comic on my shelf. Can I'm just going to go and look for it while you guys carry on talking.
Yeah, go for it, bro.
You
For
get
sure.
Spider-Man is another one, now hyphenated.
Oh yeah, what the hell? That's whacked. No way, man.
It goes on and on. There's a pattern that's happening to movies that had the word verse in it. They're now changing to a V, even if you own the copy, like Superman versus Batman. It's now Batman versus Superman. I mean,
Wow.
Batman v Superman.
That's
There's
weird.
another movie people know, Ford versus
Such-
Ferrari.
Okay, so I just found this original. I'm not a big comic geek, but I have a few comics. Right, this is a 1994 Beavis and Butthead comic, and now it has a dash.
There you go.
Long before man roamed these lands, there was a war in heaven. The victors declared themselves gods, while the vanquished were renamed titans, and forever imprisoned within the bowels of Mount Tartarus.
Who is the architect? The truth is so incredible, it might just bust your head. Who is the architect? The truth is so incredible, it might just bust your head. Who is the architect? Who is the architect of all creation? You see light, don't see the change in this vibration. Who are the architects? Who is the architect? answers yet. Tech. Who is the architect of all creation? Fusing like a read the changing inspiration. Breaking through the surface, doing it purposely. Consciousness strives in the face of diversity. Strong ties are tethered, weak links are severed. We strive towards the God that we've endeavored. Believe, revealing hidden knowledge. Ancient clay tablets, clues to the creators of this world that we inhabit. Who are the architects? Who are the architects?
Hello, Neil. Who are you? I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you.
This is another public service announcement live from the Peasantron Wednesdays. Big shout out to everyone that's tuned in tonight to our Friday night Schwab show. We will be back live in 2 weeks. Right. This, I personally think, is one of the most important things we've ever done. It's
Did you just say Reich? Or right?
Did I just say right?
No, you said right.
Sorry,
You said right.
I've got the trans-European far right on my mind. Right, for anyone that's wondering what this is, and then anyone on YouTube that's watching, I just need to let you know these saucy symbols here. We do not support any of these messages that is in this expose, in this documentary. This is to bring things to light and to expose things, right?
Yeah. This, believe me, this isn't our ideology.
Yeah, this is not our ideology. And if you're wondering what the trans-European far right is, you have to subscribe to Peasantron. We need to get that camera sorted out.
There's no way this goes out on YouTube, guys. It is spicy.
Conversations with Next is going to be an ongoing thing. We're about to record part 2 of this conversation this night on Wednesday, 9th of October. Part 1 came out on Peasantron yesterday for you guys that are watching on a Friday. This one is an hour long, and we've had a really in-depth conversation.
It was a good starting point.
Yeah,
but there's more to come.
There's a lot more to come, and you know, we can't even really talk about what this is about on YouTube for fear of the the content moderators giving us a strike or whatever.
Even the thumbnail is
slightly dodgy. Yeah, it could probably get us in trouble. So once again, make sure you subscribe to Patreon for the first of our series of conversations with Nix. What should we? our reporter, our
Yeah.
our informant.
On the ground,
boots
on the ground.
Boots on the ground reporter. So big shout to Nix.
Guys, it's a mere $3.33 a month, or if you're from the UK, it's £3. Yeah, it's really not a lot of money. You get all the best first content that we can't show on YouTube, and you get lots of other peaks as well.
Yeah,
But
and basically things that we can never talk about on YouTube.
Hence the trans-European far right.
Yeah, so get onto Peasantron now. The link is in the description, and we will also have a QR code on the screen. Okay, back to the swab.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Welcome back, guys.
I said we haven't even got into the deep shit. We're just getting warmed up.
Let's get straight to the deep end then. We've gone through what the Mandela effect is. We've given some pretty good examples. What else is?
Throw us in, Brian, mate. Throw us right in.
Well, I would definitely, we're going to get into geography changes where the land masses of the earth are in the wrong position. We're going to get into how all the Bibles across the face of the earth have been supernaturally rewritten, and that continues to happen. And what the meaning of some of those specific changes is. You know, here's one we'll talk about real quick. We'll jump right into it. And I saw we had over 500 people before the break, so that's really cool. That many people in the live chat. Still a lot here, and I know they'll be back. So I'm not a Bible guy. You know, I don't have like a particular view on it at all. It's never anything I was into. But I do find that the changes that are taking place within the most published book in the world, that obviously many people hold near and dear to their heart, for one reason or another, that the words on that are changing. Now, what's also very interesting is some of the first people to shut down this type of conversation about the Bible changing.
The little hands.
No, I mean, I was going to talk about the churches, actually, just in general, like
which is the little hats, but okay.
Yeah. So the churches will, you know, and not just the churches, but people that are very religious in one way or another. They don't want to talk about the miracle that's actually happening now. So one of these changes that happened, a lot of people talk about the lion and the lamb. That's obviously gigantic, and we talked about that earlier. For me, the one that I've covered the most, I think, has to do with in the book of Matthew. And I know you guys aren't familiar with my content. I should probably back it up a little bit. I think giving people a little history on what I do would be helpful to this conversation.
Absolutely.
Go for it. Mandela effect. I started doing podcasts 13 years ago, 14 years ago almost now, on 9/11. Now, I know we got to be careful on YouTube, but 14 years ago, I was breaking down the media fakery aspect of that when people didn't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Now, the reason I wanted to touch on that, and I was doing podcasts and all that, I just wasn't doing videos on YouTube till 2018. So after that, it was, 2011, the Apollo moon landing, then the school event that we had here in Connecticut, and then the Boston thing, and a bunch of these other type of things. So basically what I'm trying to get at is, before I was really passionate about the Mandela effect, one of my biggest things is showing people to not live in fear over fabrications, because that's how people are manipulated. Okay. So I always go back to that when need be. In fact, when I came back onto and started to put stuff on YouTube, I came out because I saw a lot of people in the truth community were pushing a lot of bogus fear about that day in September, we'll call it. So that's why I came back out. Now,
man, it was a mass trauma ritual.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And if you guys ever want to have a really deep conversation about that at some point, let me know.
Yeah, can we book that in? Can we do that? I like Brian. Brian's cool. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. At some point, I reckon we should probably put something in the diary with regards to that, because
it's a lot different than what you're going to hear from other people. It gets
okay,
really,
sounds good, mate. All right, yeah. We'll have a chat. We'll have a chat about after the show.
So, anyways, to summarize it up, I see these things as complete fabrications, and it gets very deep on how they pull these off. But when the thing rolled out in the end of 2019, early 2020, we all know what we're talking about. I knew right away that was nonsense. Okay. And you know, I went out and filmed in a lot of these places to show people there's nothing going on. And I took 15 flights without putting the thing over my face to show people to not stand up for this stuff. So when I saw this Bible change that happened shortly before this event rolled out, and then the event rolled out, you could see that the two were linked together. This is where the Mandela effect gets kind of deep, because it's like, it's definitely not just random, and there's definitely an intelligence at play here. Now, are you familiar with the verse in the Bible? It's Matthew 18:20. I'm going to let everybody in the chat answer what you always remembered it to say. You might not know it by chapter and verse, but I bet if I start the sentence off you'll probably be able to finish it. So that's what I'm going to do, guys.
Okay. I don't know it by chapter and verse, no, but maybe if I hear it.
Yeah, I'm going to leave a word blank, and I'm going to say the whole thing, and when I'm done, I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank. Okay? Where two or blank gather, there I am in the midst.
More.
What about you, Lance?
Yeah, I'm going with Andy. 2 or more.
For sure.
I absolutely remember two or more gather in my name, there I will be in the midst. There I will be. Depends on the version of the Bible, but there are where 2 or more gather in my name. So
just going to get some comments.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
I'm just going to look at the comments. Everyone in the comments is saying, yeah, 2 or more. John Nada's saying more. Indigenous creature, almost unanimously.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
The only thing that makes sense.
What does it say now, Brian?
Elaborate on why it's the only thing that makes
because it's the fucking English language that we speak about. That's the only thing that makes it's like break it down. It's very simple.
Is it to do with like when 2 or more people come together, then you've officially got like a group of people. So
it means that the presence of God will be there when you have 2 or more people gather.
Yeah.
When people come together.
The exact quote in the KJV is, well, the old way is, "For where 2 or more are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them." So, you know, as 2 or more people.
What does it say now, guys? What does it say
now?
So
now, in every version of the Bible in the world, including the one sitting in anybody's house right now, if you remember where 2 or more are gathered, it's not going to be in your Bible, and they all say 2 or 3. Now, what's 2 or 3? 2 or 3 is 2 or more. 2 or more is unlimited. Mm-hmm. So now, what, more than 3 are there, the presence of God isn't going to be there. So what's a limited gathering? And then, months later, who were the first people to start limited gathering? Churches. And then on top of it, I said they're going to use this quote to scare Christians. And sure enough, the governor of Indiana here in the United States goes on TV in August of 2020, goes out there, says, the Bible says where 2 or 3 are gathered, not 2 or 300. Stay in your house, wear a mask, Huge change. Now, there is so much residual on this. I've shown everybody in the truth communities you could imagine constantly quoting this. I've shown pastors, preachers, televangelists. I have a 3.5-hour video just on Matthew 18:22 or more. That's what you guys should do. Just ask people these things. Never give them a choice on anything. So people can't say, because we don't, but people will say this about the Mandela effect. Oh, you're leading the witness. You're planting things in the head. No, I asked you to fill in the blank. I didn't say, hey, was it 2 or was it more? Earlier, that's how
I made sense of a fucking sentence. That's what I did. That's
all you need to do. Yeah.
So I find it very interesting that scripture changed from 2 or more are gathered in my name. The amount of residue, like I said, it's fucking everywhere. Now it's 2 or 3, and then they started limited gatherings. And there's other things tied into that thing that have Mandela effects involved.
Let's run with it, right? Let's run. The people in the chat who say this is bullshit, whatever. Okay, that's fine. Let's just put that aside for a second. Let's all run with it. Let's say this is actually happening. These are physical changes that are happening. How is this physically happening?
Okay. Well, I think that
how are physical texts changed? How is that happening? How are logos on vehicles changed?
Brother, anybody who says that they know is just bullshitting you, because nobody can know.
How would you speculate How would you guys speculate that
Well,
this is
I mean,
happening?
I wouldn't, for me, I don't speculate that it's CERN or that it's any human agency or that it's obviously way too thorough and it changes physical stuff in this reality all the way back to the point of origin. This is
That's the
something,
crazy bit right there, what you said,
yeah,
Shiva, that it changes
yeah,
physical stuff. Because, okay, right, we all know that our brain, nobody really understands the brain. We don't understand dreams. We don't understand deja vu, things like that. You know, we can say, okay, the brain is just a mystery of the brain, right? But when it changes physical things, that then takes it into a different realm of research, because there's something very real happening.
That's a whole different kettle
That's
of
what I'm
rabbit.
saying.
When that
Yeah,
happens.
that's something very real that's happening. It's not in the mental construct of
absolutely.
a collective, of an individual, of whoever.
Yeah.
It's a physical thing that's happening.
Exactly. Well, I mean, and I mean, even things like, the Fruit of the Loom or whatever, it seems ridiculous because people are like, oh, it's a pair of underwear, ho, 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 and they can laugh at it. But the thing is, if you're a creator, God thing who wants to communicate to people, right? You have to communicate to people in a way that they will understand. You have to speak to them in baby talk. You have to speak to them in things that they will notice. I mean, you could change some obscure text that no one looks at, but then who's going to notice that, right? So you change depends and Febreze and like weird shit like this, and cartoons and like really famous movie lines and really famous songs and really, and the most famous
Significant things. Yeah.
Things that like the Lord's Prayer. I mean, come on, how can you not notice this? And if that wasn't enough, then it changes significant things like physical things to make it really obvious to you, like a Ford. If you're a guy that's been working on cars for 4 decades and you know what the Ford looks like, you looked at it, it's seared into your mind. And
that's what I mean. It is literally unthinkable that then that's changed.
Yeah,
the same as
exactly.
like the stuff that I remember from my childhood. The dude with the monocle from Monopoly, the mirror on the wall. I just won't accept it.
And it has changed.
I just will not accept it. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah. No, you have to trust your own memory. Now, I'm not saying trust your delusions. Like, oh, I'm Napoleon. That's trust yourself.
No, trust me, mate. I know when I'm being retarded and when I'm not.
For sure. I mean, there's some stuff that, as you said, okay, some people bring up this study. They say, oh, is this intellectual study that disproves the Mandela effect? And it's so retarded. I'm sorry. It really is. It shows these people get shown an accident, right? And there's a car and blah, blah, blah. And then after the accident, it's a video. They get shown one time and they're asked for details. And like 30-something% of the people said they remember broken glass. Okay, that's fine. But the thing is, there was no broken glass. They just assumed car accident, broken glass. Oh. Now, I don't know if they were led or whatever. But the thing is, then they said, this proves Mandela effect is wrong because people's memory no good, blah. And I'm like,
no. People's memory, right? It's sorry. Go on, George. Go on, Shiva. Go.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that's just one time, right? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I didn't hear that one time. Some people heard that hundreds of times, thousands. Some people looked at their Fruit of the Loom underwear thousands of times.
I watched Mr. Rogers 5 times a week for probably a decade of my childhood and sang along with the damn intro, and now it's
exactly.
Mandela.
So
because the critics might say this thing called false memory syndrome, and just as a little side note, right? Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, false memory syndrome first sort of was coined when the satanic panic happened, which was in the late 1980s, early 1990s, where all of these kids at play schools and kindergartens and different states in America were giving detailed accounts of being satanically ritually abused, right? Okay. And it happened in the 2 or 3 year period. Let me just unmute these two. I'm getting this right so far, yeah? Yeah. And basically the way... And because all the kids were saying the same things and giving these same very dark, horrific details, the way they explained it away was something called false memory syndrome, where a whole group of kids, like maybe up to 20 or 30 kids in this group, would all remember the same thing. Oh, it's false memory syndrome. And it was literally brushed
How
on.
fucking stupid do people have to be to believe that shit?
Well, it got brushed onto the carpet that easily.
Yeah, there you go. How fucking stupid are people?
I mean, it's weird. It's amazing.
So, like, for me, like...
Sorry, what I was going to quickly say, just before I forget, was if you look at a mirage, right? Yeah, you could see a mirage. Yeah, what your mind does, it fills in the blanks. So, is that something possibly which could be happening here?
No, because
Of
how
any
we
event of some kind, some offshoot of something like that? Because the brain
No.
is tricky.
some of these are so specific, and so many of us in unison wouldn't all be filling the exact same blanks.
Yeah,
during
exactly.
the-
Yeah, I would agree.
There'd be
I would
different
agree.
memories.
How
Right.
could that
Yeah.
happen? Like, if it was just a few brand changes and a group of us thought there was always an S on it, and I mean that was the only type of examples. That'd be a
Dude, I didn't realize people's fucking names were changing. People
Yeah,
who are
man.
like still alive now, and their names have changed.
It's crazy, right? And we only dabbled on it because I didn't want to go too far down any different aspect because I really want to get a lot of stuff. And like I said, we're still going to get to the geography, which is mind blowing, and anatomy. Like that's a completely next level. But yeah, people's names have changed. Even foods have changed. Let me get a screen share. What is the are you guys? What's a very popular type of apple? Would you say like that you eat?
Granny Smith, Bramley,
What begins with
Golden
letter A?
Delicious,
Come on.
close.
Pink Lady.
The most famous one.
Begins with an M.
The computer one.
Oh, Mac.
A Macintosh.
Mac.
So show my screen, please.
Okay, one sec.
I definitely remember Macintosh. Yeah.
I remember Macintosh because
And it still
I
exists,
remember there was an
kind of.
American girl when I
now
was in
it's
year 6
Now
at
it's
school,
Macintosh.
and she used to get teased because she was the only one in the school that used a Macintosh, like because her dad bought her this
There you
Macintosh,
go.
and everyone used to take the
It
piss
was
out of her.
100% MAC because they
Yeah.
was always called Apple Macs.
Yeah.
Now it's
Apple, it's not an Apple Muck.
The Apple Mic.
Yeah,
Apple MC.
yeah, that's bullshit, man. This is fucking bullshit.
all right.
Again, it doesn't make any sense. It's not an Apple Muck.
It doesn't.
So let me
It's
ask
not
you
it doesn't make sense.
Let me issue a
All right.
disclaimer when we talk about any geography. I'm very well aware, and as I know Shiva is, that what we're presented as images.
I think personally for me, but like we're way past the number of coincidences for this to be demonstrated as an actual thing that is happening and very real. Like for me, it's a done deal, boys.
Dude, we were even thinking if we have time, like we're just gonna rail off a whole bunch of them to you too. Like we're
Yeah,
like,
man.
ready-
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
Let's
hard.
go.
So many changes, but let's talk about geography real quick.
Yeah, let's get into geography.
We're gonna stick to the big ones here, Shiva, but like we really need to bring this up because let's explain this. So we both know, and none of these images are to be trusted. We all know that Google Earth can be manipulated. We are anything from NASA or anybody like that.
Mate, my missus could do better artwork.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing goes with any map projections or anything. And it can all easily be fake, much is. So, but that being the case, all I'm showing you is what's presented to us as the representation of the land masses on the earth. But let me explain something. So I'm going to ask people about and have them fill in the blank where location of the football is, right? And when I ask them that, and if you remember what we do, and I'm going to show you, look, that's not where it is. It's not just this online imagery. It's not just new imagery being put out by these people. It's also any old map or globe that you have in your house, even the same pull down ones that were on the chalkboard at school and everything the way you remember, because this is what they're presenting as the reality now, but that is what the reality, the Mandela affected reality. It's correlating with these images. So
I was always pretty good at geography. I'm looking forward to this bit.
Can I just
yeah.
before you go any further?
Me
Brian,
too, brother.
Can I make a Mandela effect prediction for the future?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I reckon, that in the future, people are gonna see people who think that the world was a sphere like this is weird as fuck because the majority, the collective, think it's pear-shaped because apparently now it's pear-shaped and it's not a sphere. Allegedly, that's the mainstream bullshit from people like your Neil deGrasse Tyson, slippery fucker, and people like that. They're saying it's pear-shaped. So I think late in the future, the Mandela effect will be that people...
It's always been a pair.
It's always been a pear, but some people think it's a sphere. That's what I think is going to happen in the future. You
the
heard it here first.
the reality is it's never been either, and we're not this crazy ball in outer space, but we'll save that for another day. But I would like to ask you guys, if I were to ask you, these are gonna sound like dumb questions, right? And we're gonna let the chat answer.
There's no such thing as a dumb question on Rise Above,
No,
Brian.
it's not when it comes to this, because it's like, okay. So if I'm gonna ask you guys in the chat, in relation to North America, where is South America located?
It's like
Southerly.
South America it would be to the south of North America.
Mhm.
And we'll let the chat answer as well. And in about 10 seconds, I'll stop.
I'll get the chat up on the screen so we can just see their answers.
Okay. Yeah, so chat, here's a blockbuster for you. Where is South America located in relation to North America? Okay. All right, we're going to go and bring it up. I know they're on a delay anyway, so let's check this out. So before I do, by the way, this is what made me realize the Mandela effect was huge. So I'm glad we're here now, because I was into a lot of other stuff still when I first came across this. And I heard about the Berenstain Bears, and I kind of understood the concept. But it wasn't until these geography changes a few months later that I was like, holy crap. Okay. Well, I remember it south of North America. Look at where it is now.
It's moved. It's moved.
Yeah. Like
It's
1,500 miles to the east. Yeah, and not only that, I remember
It's moved like a 5-hour flight.
Yeah, dude. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, about 1,500 miles or something.
Look at that. I mean, the west coast of it's barely even aligned with
So,
any of the
question, guys, is that the same on multiple digital fake bullshit space apps?
How about
it is the same. It's not just.
It's also
one
the same on your globe at home.
On physical globes.
Oh,
If
no
you had
shit,
it
my
at
dad,
home-
no shit, my parents have got a really old school. It's like from
It's
the
gonna
fucking
look like this.
1800s, a globe,
Yeah,
like a
go
wooden
check
one
it
that
out, bro.
spins. I'm going to go and check it out.
Bro, it's gonna look like this. I know that sounds crazy.
And I know, right, I used to fuck with that. Me and my brother used to play with that when we were little, like so many. That's ingrained into my psyche of what that is. I'll be able to tell straight away, yeah.
I used to play with maps and globes like every day. It's so ridiculous.
There was
South
one
America.
specific one though that my parents, and they've still got it, and I'm gonna go and check out. I literally know what every inch of that thing is.
So check this out.
Because South America moves so far, like the Panama Canal obviously would have to change, right? Like think about the Panama Canal. It's right there, right? And it used to go
East and west.
It used to go east-west, and now look at it. It's like the Panama Canal is going on this not north-south exactly, but it's very bizarre.
Southwesterly.
Show the canal. Where's the canal? Can you get in there? Where's the canal itself? So that's the border. Is that it right there? That water bit? Jesus. It's there, right? Yeah. Yokohama City. But anyway, it used to be east-west. And Brian even talked to somebody. He can tell you the story of that, of a guy that he talked to who was stationed down there for 6 years in the Navy. And Brian asked him, oh, well, which direction does it go? And the guy said east-west, like the rest of us would think, but now it's not anymore. Now it's
here. South America used to be way over here to the left more, and Central America was not as much of a hook, and it came and connected up here on the top portion of the corner.
I wonder if skeptics would about what you're saying here would say, oh yeah, because that's what it looks like if it's like a globe map just flat out.
Right.
I wonder if that's what they would try and come back with.
Right, but
because I think that's the only. What other explanation would there be for somebody to counter what you're saying?
Brian, tell them what happened to you with your family. You went back and checked the globes at your.
So I went to my family's for Thanksgiving in 2018 or 2019, and I walk in the house, and I called my nephew, but it's like my cousin's kid. He says to me, and I haven't seen him in 4 or 5 years, and he says to me, hey, first thing he says to me when I come in the door, hey, I know about Pikachu's tail. Because for those that don't know, Pikachu, famous Pokemon's Mandela affected. What do you guys remember on his tail? And many people remember him having a black tip on his tail. Now it's always been all yellow. So little kids are seeing this stuff. So he brings it up to me. And then my cousin is like, tell him about Ed McMahon, which we'll talk about in a few, maybe. And then all of a sudden it got into geography. And I started telling them about geography changes. And she said, well, to my cousin Corey, he said, well, Corey, I got your globe right in the basement. I'll go down and get it. They went down, got the globe that they had in the house for many years, probably 20 years or something. And everything that I'm showing you on here is reflected not only on their globe, not only on their maps, on the globe and map sitting in the house of every single person listening to the show right now. Now, I have another one I want to get to real quick because it's in this region.
Just before we move on, can we just address that someone is saying that basically the poles are slowly shifting and magnetic north is allegedly moving towards Siberia. Now, that could explain it on computer projections, but that doesn't explain if the position of South America has changed on physical globes, on physical maps in people's house.
Exactly. You got it, buddy, and that is exactly what's happening. It's not just any digital projection. I mean, I don't wish I had one here, but if I did have one here, I would just pull it out and show you. I just don't happen to have one. They all look like this. Now I want to ask another question to you guys, and I want the chat to answer. You might not know this.
Sure.
Maybe you will. The island of Cuba. What's its size and location in reference to Florida?
Well, my auntie and uncle lived in Fort Lauderdale for about 20, 30 years, so I used to go to Florida a lot. It was our
seafood, man.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, it's called Cuba.
It's down and to the left.
I always knew that Cuba was very close.
Yeah, but I think it's down and to the left.
So Florida is on the east coast.
Because that's like, well, it's not really, is it? It's not the East Coast. It's like it's America's wang. They call it America's wang, don't they? Because it's like it comes down and kind of out, and then Cuba's down to the left. Like all of the Caribbean area and Cuba is, I would say, down and to the left, ish.
So I remember Cuba being a small island to the southeast of Florida, which would be down to the right. Now Cuba. So I remember Cuba being a small island like here. Okay. Cuba.
I mean, I got the whole thing wrong. I said the whole of the Caribbean was down to the left. It's not. All of it's to the right.
Yeah, it's all to the right. So I remember Cuba being like this big, not this whole thing. Cuba has grown in size by like 400%. And not only that, it was never west of Florida. Now it's west of Florida and blocking the Gulf of Mexico in a huge way. And what's really interesting is this came up on Jeopardy the other night. My friend Joe did a video on it. They're always trying to reinforce the reality on that game show, I'm telling you. So they had a question. Now, people on Jeopardy, they're pretty book smart, you know. They're going to know basic geography, probably even a lot more than that, you would think. The question was literally as simple as, like, what island is blocking that waterway there to the Gulf of Mexico? Not one single person got the $400 question, and the answer was Cuba. Because nobody remembers Cuba being to the west of Florida like this. It was way over here. You want to talk about Australia, Shiva, and then I'll bring it up.
Okay. I mean, this is another funny thing. You think, oh, someone who lives in Australia is going to know more than me, right? Because I don't live there. That's often what we think. But I've got something to say about that with the surgeons and the airplane pilots. But here we go. So Australia and New Zealand, for me, I remember it a certain way. Now try to think about it, where it is in relation to Papua New Guinea, how far it is from Antarctica. Now check it out. Take a look. Is this what you remember?
Look at New Zealand, guys. New Zealand was way up here in my memory, to the northeast of Australia.
Yeah, it was.
It's further south in Australia now. It was way.
It was way up there. I used to work on boats, right? And I was in New Zealand, and right before we left, the last thing we did, we had to take the boat from New Zealand to Sydney and leave it there. And I flew home from Sydney, right? And I looked. I'd never been to that area of the world before. I'd never been to Australia. I went to Australia when I was about 2 years old, so I was like excited to go to Australia when I could actually, do some shit. And I looked at it on the map. I was like looking at the crossing and stuff, and New Zealand was fucking way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And Australia
sure.
was down a bit. I think Australia was
Yeah. They're way down. Yeah.
It's like a bit of
I definitely remember Australia being further away from Southeast Asia.
They were more in line.
Yeah.
Definitely, they were definitely more in line than they are here. They both moved, in my opinion.
For sure. Right.
The only, right, guys, the only thing, right, that I find disturbing about all of this, well, not disturbing, but the thing I can't trust is all of us are saying, I remember this to be here, I remember this. Brian, you were saying you remember Cuba to be there, right? None of us can actually have been up there, right, and fucking looked down on it, photographed it, and with our own eyes seen it. Our only frame of reference is what's being given to us by external sources like NASA, Google Maps, stuff like that. So none of us can. None of this is actually technically valid whatsoever. Because we haven't seen it with our own eyes.
That's why you reference the same thing. Like in Brian's case, it's the same globe that he remembers looking at for years when he was young, right? And he remembers where it was. So he doesn't get a different globe or a flat projection digital. He gets the exact same thing, looks at it, that thing has changed.
But what I'm getting at is if 20 years ago, when we say, like we remember this stuff, if we'd have gone up there, photographed it, had a look, remembered what it was like, and then gone up 20 years later, I wonder if that would have changed, or all of this has just changed.
That's hard to say.
Because none of us
it's
have
hard
actually
to even
done
say
it.
like how far go up there. Like how far up there do you mean? Maybe after a certain
I've only ever been up in an
and-
airplane myself, so I don't know.
An airplane, but maybe if you go higher, who knows? It's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say what.
This is like the stuff that Archaic says. That's why he sticks to his books, because he can't rely on any videos or audio, because the level of technology now is so easily fooling people that you just can't trust them.
Go and edit things.
Unless you can actually see something with your own eyes, and like definitively with your own gut that something is true, anything could be manipulated these days.
Oh yeah, that's why online stuff is really. I mean, sure, we have to connect online, right? And you can make some suppositions online, various self-referential things, right? But that's why residue and physical stuff in the realm of the Mandela effect is so profound, because if it was just online, you could theorize that a very powerful supercomputer is making all these changes, for whatever reason, and that would be a plausible thing, right? Would be like, yeah, it must be that, right? Because
I would say that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, well, it could be a thing, but I mean that could account for online things, but to account for actual physical changes.
Oh no, I'd say that's exactly what's going on as well. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, that's beyond.
I would say that there is some mechanism which is physically changing.
That's right. Yeah,
aspects of our realm.
You can call it technology. You can call it Brahma, God, the divine Sophia, the matrix of. And I don't mean matrix in a bad way. I mean matrix in the good way. Like the womb. Like that. Or is that quote of like, "You're not merely a biological creature living in the womb of nature, but you are a biographical character in the living dream of the earth." Right. So you're a character, and there are just various changes going on. And there's signals and communication being given to you. By, I think, a very loving entity. I don't think it's a nefarious thing trying to screw with your mind and confuse you and drive you crazy. Or if you get driven crazy, you're supposed to be driven crazy enough to be able to accept that reality is fluid, because to resist it is even more crazy, right? To say, oh no, this is this, I remember this, but now it's this. Oh, well, I guess I remember it wrong. Like at a certain point, it's insanity, it's ridiculousness. You can say
that's what I'm saying. At what point is it mathematically impossible?
Exactly. Well, for different people, like for me, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, well, that's not how it was. I know it was this, and it didn't matter what someone said to me. I was not going. I was not having it, man. like there's no way. I know it's like this, and so I thought, well, if you take Occam's razor, they like, well, Occam's razor, to accomplish the Ford logo. I mean, there is nothing you could do. 50 million agents going all over the world, sneaking into people's garages, changing the logo. I mean, it's ridiculous. At a certain point, you couldn't physically justify any of these things, right? So you have to say it's something supernatural. That's actually Occam's razor. That's the easiest thing, saying, well, look, it's supernatural and I don't understand it, right? If someone says, oh no, it's this, it's that, they're just bullshitting you. I mean, literally, we don't understand.
Or it's just speculation.
Yeah, it's just speculation.
Like what we're doing here,
but it's fun to speculate. I mean, I think, because I like to be in a positive mood, even though life really sucks sometimes, I think it's a positive thing. I think it's the reality is fluid. I think you're supposed to wake up to this. If you don't, then you're not supposed to wake up to it. And that's also fine too. Maybe at another time you will. I mean, I don't really know what's going on, but it does seem we're in like a dream-like quality kind of thing, where there's like a dream, there's like God dreaming, but we're also co-creators. We also dream along with God. So when you're talking about, can we create that Mandela effect in the past of the Steven Seagal thing, back in the future? Like, yeah, I mean, for all we know, it could be, it's a joke, right? But it could be like this. We're co-creators.
But maybe within, like Lance said, maybe with enough people that is a possibility. We don't know, because we don't know how the construct is.
I think we're doing it all the time. I think it's possible we're doing it like every day, right? We have our will, and we want to manifest our will. We move and things are happening, right? And we're changing reality. Like, you've got this retrocausality. You've got the idea of like, wow, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna change that thing in the past, because like really the past and the present and the future are kind of all the same anyway. So I'm gonna change that thing in the past, like the Toltecs would call it recapitulation, or or you could call it retrocausality. And you go in the past and you imagine a different reality that happened in the past. You kind of rewrite the history in a way. Not that you're like trying to not deal with things, but you're really trying to deal with things. You're saying, no, let's rewrite a better story, which actually changes who you are now and who you are later. Like, and so that's kind of a Mandela effect. You've actually gone back into the past and you've done some tweaking and changed the person who you are today, So it's possible that the Mandela effect is just a way to say something that's going on all the time. And has been going on since this realm has been going on, which maybe had even no beginning. For all we know, maybe there's no beginning, there is no end. There's cycles, there's loops, right? But and this Mandela effect is like little communication to say, hey, look, this isn't real. But I don't think it's just doing that. I think that's the initial thing. The initial thing is like, yoo-hoo, and you're like, what? And he's like, mirror, mirror, magic mirror. And then you go back and forth between both of them, right? So what's the message in the mirror, mirror, magic mirror? And that's a whole, you could do endless hours of decoding on that. And everyone has a personal thing as well. I think that just like the Mandela effect, so I think there's a universal messages as well. I think some of the messages.
Let's talk about some of the messages.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the messages. So,
it's definitely like, there's a lot of music changes that I think are very profound and have a lot of like very spiritual connotation to some of these changes.
Yeah, the music ones are interesting, right?
Yeah, you want to go ahead and bring one of those up?
Okay, where I got a little.
Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees one is one of the most, for me, that one is one of the most, I mean, it's not just a letter, you have the Jules song, Who Will Save Your Soul? Who will save your souls? Now she says souls. Now that's just a letter. Oh, and you're like, oh, well, maybe you just heard it wrong. You're like, no. The song is called Who Will Save Your Soul, right? And you hear it. And I didn't even really care for the song, but I know what it said. And now you play that song, the original, and she says souls with an S at the end. Now you have a couple of live versions where she's done it without the souls, but it's now the original soul. And so that one, soul to soul.
And what is the song title? Soul or souls? It is soul. So that doesn't make sense that she would say souls.
Weird, huh? Yeah. And in fact, that makes it so obvious to me that it's making it even more obvious, right, than it was before. If it just changed, you'd be like, oh, well, okay. But then if the song title changed, you'd be like, oh, well, I thought it said that, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that would then make more sense.
Right.
That would then make you think, oh, I just got it wrong.
Right. This is
But
making
then
more
it
obvious.
doesn't make sense that she says souls, but the title is soul.
Absolutely. So do you remember the Bee Gees? It's like, okay, and it's you I need to show. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? I really
Need to know.
fucking yeah. Yes.
That was very nice, gentlemen. Well,
need to
Sheila,
know.
you got a nice voice, man.
Need to know.
Of course.
It's very nice, except for the fact that you're wrong.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Damn, son.
you're a delusional lunatic, the same lunatic that I am. Of course, I remember. I really need to know, but in this reality, it's I really mean to learn.
What?
I mean, that is completely different.
It's
That's not
completely
just a little
This
twist
is a
like a
glitch.
letter. That's
It's
a
like a
full
glitch.
line.
It's not
This is the
souls,
glitch.
souls. It's like it's really like on a silver platter. It's like if you don't notice this, I don't know what I can do for you. You know, like
Yeah, that's
was
not
really-
like that's not something that you can just mishear. Like that's a
right. It's really crazy, and of course there are versions of people doing it the original way. There are many versions nowadays of people doing it the new way. Of course, when I hear them, I turn them off. There's a great one of Jacob Collier doing it, and he sings it the original way, and he gets the crowd to sing it, and they're all singing it the original way. Maybe 10% young people the new way, but it's great.
guys.
So-
Can I ask you a question before we go any further? Both Brian and Shiva. Everything we've covered tonight, everything we've talked about, all the examples you've given, song lyrics, physical text, everything. Do you think that this all changed it at once, all of it in one go? No.
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 We know that things are incrementally changing. For instance, even the Bible changes. Not only do they not all come at the same time. When so the Lion and Lamb, for example, didn't change in every version of the Bible at once. It changed in the KJV first, and then it started changing in all the other ones.
Okay,
after.
so
Once
that was
it
one
comes
line. So has another line in the Bible changed?
Many.
Yeah. So,
many.
did they all
There's
change at the same time, or all? No. Okay. Right.
I got another one for you. So, I mean, I got so many. Here's a good one for you from the Bible, right? I'll fill in the blank, okay? It's from Hosea 4:6. My people blank for a lack of knowledge.
Is it suffer?
I'll say yearn.
It used to be perish. My people perish for
Oh,
a
sorry.
lack of
Sorry,
knowledge.
I heard
And
that wrong. Sorry.
Now it says my people are destroyed. There's endless ones. I mean, Shiva brought up the Lord's Prayer, and the Lord's Prayer has been Mandela affected, and so many people remember, forgive us our trespasses and for those that trespass against us. And now there is no Bible. They all say, they don't all say the same thing, but most say debts and debtors. None of them say trespass and trespass.
I remember that one, like
There's
trespass against. I remember that.
John 14:6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the blank.
The
No
light.
man, exactly. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Now, if you look at it in every version of the Bible, it's not the light, it's the life. Life. And I know
You see, that's another one where you could just say, "Oh yeah, you just misheard it,"
maybe I
because
remember
light
it.
and life are similar. But
always
the one,
gives you that.
yeah, the song
But
lyric
Jesus
where the
referred
line,
to himself as the light on many occasions. So
Right.
it's like that's not like the first time he would have said that.
Oh, but dude, one of my favorites for humor, because Exodus is quite a heavy one anyway, quite a heavy book. Exodus 34:14. Now, I remember, for I am a jealous God. You've heard that before?
Yes.
Okay. But have you ever heard this? Because this is what exists now. Okay. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God.
No.
My name is jealous, and I'm a jealous God. What? No, I didn't say that. It never said his name is jealous. Move over, El Shaddai, Yahweh, Jehovah. Jealous has come to town. He's the newest God on the block, but he's always been there. He's been retrofitted into reality. Jealous. That one is very strange. That's only a few.
At the end of every, not every, but so many wakes, when people pass away and they have a service, the pastor or whatever will come out and he'll say a very specific prayer from the book of Job 121. And it talks about the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
Yeah.
Now that's been Mandela. That's not in any Bible anymore. It's been changed. And there's a similar wording. It'll say like the Lord gives and he takes away, and it's different in each version. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away was in the KJV. It's not any anymore. Here's a good one. The golden rule has been Mandela affected. Do you know what the golden rule
Isn't
is?
it like whoever's got the most gold makes the rules?
That's it.
No, it starts, it starts with the word do.
No, I don't know it.
Well, it used to read, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah, that's it. That's natural law.
Yeah.
That's it. Do unto others as do unto you. Yeah, that's natural law. That's ancient.
And now that's changed to do to others as
No.
Yeah, do unto others.
That's bullshit, man. It's not right. It's not right.
Yeah.
That's an ancient.
So think about this, right?
Nah.
If it's like a one of these things, like would we just just fill in the blank type of thing, like we talked about earlier, and fill it in with such a weird word like unto?
Yeah.
Where do we
Or
get that from?
forefathers.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
forefathers. And in America, the Gettysburg Address,
Ridiculous.
he used to say 7 years ago, our forefathers. And now it just says our fathers. So these are like historical documents. Like there's all sorts of Mandela effects. In everything.
Also,
We were talking about earlier, the other one I wanted to mention when we were mentioning the thing of the last 4 years, right? There's a thing here called the HIPAA Act, okay? And it's supposed to be about protecting the privacy of your health information, okay? And the acronym was HIPPA, okay? And one of the P's stood for privacy, right? That P got Mandela affected out of the HIPAA Act right before the thing rolled out, and it's always been HIPAA, and the P that stood for privacy is missing. All these kind of little tinkers of Mandela effects came into play, like right before that thing rolled
part
out.
of the messages, exactly. Your privacy is taken away.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you guys a question. Where would you describe the location of an engine on a commercial jet in relation to the wing?
Well, normally in a jet plane, the engine is the large round cylindrical jet, which is suspended under each wing.
Right.
So sort of like perpendicular. Well, yeah, adjacent to the main part of the fuselage, held onto the wings.
I'm no aerospace engineer, but I'm going with what Lance just said there.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you right here a video game, and I remember what you guys do, and I feel this image probably is a good representation, at least what I remember. Is it similar to this? Is that what you remember? The engines basically being on a commercial airline?
Yes. So that's our collective memory. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I remember as well. Okay. Again, this is a video game. It's not a real photograph. Okay. If it was a real photograph, well, Houston, we have a problem. I'm going to show you a couple more. Okay, like this is what I remember.
Yeah, that looks about right.
Yeah. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Looks good to me.
Now I'm going to show you. And other than there's one Boeing 737 exception, but other than that, all the commercial airliners in the world, 747s, 777s, 757s, 767s, and going back all the way, many, many, many decades of these jets, right? They all look like this now. This is where the engines have always been now. In your
Michael. Raw.
Way the heck.
No, mate.
That looks so wrong.
That again, it doesn't, mate. I'm not like an expert on aerodynamics, but that just looks like uncomfortable.
It doesn't look very structural.
No, it looks very awkward and like just not right. Not clean on the eye. It just looks fucking wrong, man.
Yeah.
And it's not just
I've got a really
them.
good mate of mine who is an aerospace engineer, and I'm going to ask him about this shit. I'm going to show him this and be like, dude, what's the deal? Because that's all he's done for the last 22 years. So I'm going to be like, well, I'm going to ask him about this shit.
Actually, this has just sparked something. I saw a clip the other
Look at
day.
that looks so wrong.
I saw a clip the other day where people were on a plane like this, and they're actually looking out the window to see flames coming out of the back of the jet, and they're all like saying their prayers, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I've
come
se-
to
I've seen
think of
that,
it,
yeah.
it must have been positioned like this for them to see the back of the jet and to physically see it coming out. Otherwise, it would have been hidden under the wing. I don't know.
Not necessarily. Look, if the jet was under the wing, then they would have clearly seen the flames coming out the back of the rear of the plane.
Why does this look so alien to all of us?
Yeah,
if-
exactly. Yeah, this is fucking weird, man.
If this is what they've always looked like.
Yeah, and then you can go to an airport and check in. Again, let's just say you took pictures at an airport, which isn't that rare for people to do. Let's say you took pictures at an airport and there were jets behind you on the runway, and even if your pictures are 20 years old, you're going to see engines like this. So this isn't about them redesigning the airplane. They've been retroactively reality redesigned by the creator.
This is so
That's
fucking
crazy
weird.
stuff.
Yep.
It's really weird.
Guys, I'll ask you another question, right? And maybe
man.
like speculation, right? This just popped into my head. Are all these things, all these coincidences, like changes, whatever, are these like, because we're all alive for a certain amount of time, right? And we'll remember these changes, right? But in generations to come, they won't have a clue. This will be the norm to them. Is there, and so our collective memory of it will just be faded out, and then it will just be the normal. Everyone will just know it as that. There won't be any Mandela effect questioning because we'll all be dead, unless we pass it on to our youngsters. But they won't actually believe it because they haven't seen it, because we're the only ones that have actually seen it.
But that's
Remember,
assuming it doesn't carry on happening.
so is the reason?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'm
young
sure it'll
people-
carry on happening, but I'm talking about the current things.
Right.
Are the current things that are going to be phased out by the time we're all gone, is that being done for a reason to set up something in the future? Like, I'm just speculating. Is that like, what would be the reason for doing
Yeah.
it?
I think it's preparing us for something even more freaky. Like basically, things are life is not what you think it is, right? And in order to move from an idea of that, it's like atoms smashing and it's physical and there's all these limitations, to move from that to something more freaky, something like the Mandela effect is done to show you how freaky it is. I mean, it's like absolute evidence that you can prove to yourself again and again and again and discuss with other people that the reality is not fluid, right? So I think it's like a movement, a initiation or a learning process, right? Done by God itself, by God's dream, is dreaming up all these things happening, and all these creatures, us, part of God, are all experiencing this whole thing. And we're in a sort of retarded state, right? We don't understand. Let's say we had 500 past lives or whatever. We don't remember any of it, but we're not supposed to. We're supposed to be this limited avatar having a limited thing, right? Because that's the experience that God wants to have in God's dream, right? So part of God's dream is instructing via this very bizarre phenomenon that's freaky, that like pings you and goes, whoa, something is happening, right? And gives you these little transmissions of information that teaches you stuff so that you'll be a better person and you'll be more relaxed and not fearful. And when even more bizarre changes come, maybe even more bizarre lessons, difficult lessons, but rewarding lessons, you'll be ready for it. And if you're not ready for it, then like a loving mother, a loving father, loving God, whatever, God won't put you through something that you're not ready for, right? Why do that? It's not nice. You wouldn't put your son with a black belt karate guy and just have the guy beat the shit out of your son, right? But you would send him to a black belt teacher who would slowly, in increments, do even uncomfortable things to make you learn, right? But not all bang at the beginning. Anyway,
so this is like in many ways, like a gentle metaphysical wake-up call.
Exactly. That's what I totally believe it is. If all the Mandela effects came at once, I don't think any of us would have been able to handle it. Like if we just woke up. There's still more
everyone would think they've gone insane.
Yeah. So let's just say
a day.
there's been 1,000 so far. I think there's been a lot more, but let's just say there's been 1,000 changes in this reality so far. And let's just say, in another 50 years, there's 100,000. Imagine waking up and there's just like 100,000 things in the reality are all different to you. Like that would be absolutely insane. I think that, like, obviously we don't know what happens after we die. That's a huge question, right? But I think that whatever it is, I think this is like a training ground for that. And the Mandela effect is because we need to be able to accept that next level of reality, supernatural aspects of it. And this is totally a training ground for that. But I think there's more to it. I think there's that. I think it's very multifaceted. I think it's also, sending us coded messages and puzzles to try to figure out. And what is the exact purpose of that? I don't exactly know. I also think that what's interesting is, so I don't know, like, obviously I don't know to state that. Let's just say reincarnation's a real thing, right? For sake of conversation. Reincarnation's a real thing. Now, is the creator gonna rewrite all of reality, like just get rid of the earth and make this whole new every time one person leaves and comes back? Obviously not. Maybe he continually, maybe some of the changes that seem insignificant, even though I don't think any of them are, because the smallest ones have woken up people I know. But maybe some of them are just like these little extras just to tinker with enough things, because if you came back and had the same exact reality, even if your memory was wiped, but everything is exactly the same, maybe you would have some sort of deja vu of your past life that they don't want you to have, or the creator doesn't want you to have. It's kind of just a thought.
Can I just put something on the table? I heard one of you mention it off the cuff a minute ago, and you might rubbish this train of thought straight away because I'm sure you've brought it up. Someone just brought it up in the comments. It's about you've guessed it, the Large Hadron Collider. Now, I have been looking down the rabbit hole for quite a long time, since the early 00s, and I didn't really ever hear anything about the Mandela effect until I thought about after 2012. And I don't know. I mean, first of all, before I even mention
I would love to address this, because this is a very passion of mine to get into this. So keep going. I definitely will.
So I've just got on the screen here, like the Large Hadron Collider was switched on again by all people Tom Hanks. I don't know if anyone remembers this happening. Very weird. And there's another, and this was in 2009 February. I'm sorry.
Wait, don't go too deep. I need a drink. Wait.
Hi. I'm just going to read some of this out. But in 2008, they were postulating that the Large Hadron Collider, the most powerful atom smasher ever built, I'm just reading some of this out here, could actually start affecting the time-space continuum. This was talked about a lot all through the mainstream media, in the mainstream scientific media. Now, what are your guys' thoughts on the possibility that we didn't really start noticing the Mandela effect until after this has been switched on? Does that fit in your timeline, first of all, of when people noticed the Mandela effect?
No, people have noticed it long before CERN was even a thing. It just didn't have a name. Many of them didn't know who to talk to share their experiences. But now that there are communities and whatnot, I've talked to people that have had experience changes well before, the CERN days. Now, check this out. To me, CERN has just been the obvious direction they want to point you. So, first of all, when the Mandela effect stuff, they put these articles out, right? Like I said. So they want you to think it's false memory or whatever. But if you're going to believe that something's really going on, CERN, D-wave computers, quantum computers, this is the stuff that they continually throw at you. They even try. It's, for me, I don't buy it at all. And I know that they say that they're doing this and they say that they're doing that. Well, they told us they went to the moon with 1969 technology, and 19 hijackers. Got us hijacked 4 planes. I don't believe anything they say. Now, it's a little more than me just not believing things that they say. Let's think about what the real agenda of the controlling people of this realm are. In my opinion, well, they're hell-bent on hiding the supernatural. They always have been. And if there is a supernatural that's taken place, or if there's proof of the supernatural or proof of a creator, well, what they want to do is gatekeep that. And the best way for them to gatekeep it, if you're to the point where you're not going to deny the Mandela effect and you're not going to accept that it's false memory, and you say, no, I know it was this. I know it was that. Something's happening here. Well, here we are. Here's man and our wonderful machine, and we're the ones manipulating reality. That's always been the obvious direction they try and point you in. I always see Neil deGrasse and Brian Cox and Elon Musk and all these other people tell you, oh, this 99% that we're living in a computer simulation. I don't buy that either. I don't buy anything that these jabronis say. They're hell-bent on hiding the creator. And then on top of that, as far as other theories, I don't, and I welcome all theories. If you believe in CERN, I invite people on my show. We can talk about it. It's cool. But for me, some of the other theories that don't work, even though they're very popular, I know people want us to address it, so we'll get into them, and we can kind of tell you why and just a few reasons that they don't work. Different timelines, merging timelines, parallel universes, and time travel. None of it works for me. If it was time travel and somebody went back in time and splintered off this new branch of reality, or however that would work, right? Why do we have all this residual physical evidence here of something that now has never happened in this branch of the timeline? Because that's what we have. We have thousands and thousands of physical artifacts for each Mandela effect to back it up. On top of that, see, I already know if I lock 100 people in the grocery store, like I said, there's about 10 of these Mandela effects that I could ask them to fill in the blank, and I'm going to get them on. I'm going to get like 100% of these people. So if time travel is what happened, why does everybody here seem to have the memory of something that happened on a different timeline? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Shiva, you want to jump in?
Yeah, and why does the residue exist as well? If you could do time travel and go back and change it, theoretically, whatever time travel means.
Then the event wouldn't have happened in question for there to be any residue anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're very logical. You see, so yeah. I think that
it's quite simple when you think about it. Right. It's quite simple.
Yeah. It's actually the nuggets of knowledge. You could all just say, "Oh, it's solipsism. Nothing makes any sense. It's all confusing." But actually, no, it's not a schizophrenic Baroque kind of nether fugue. It's a mythophrenic like thing that makes sense. There are connections between. I believe between every effect, it gets kind of weird. You'd have to make that wall, with all the things pointed to everything else. But the funny thing is that a lot of the effects are related to other things, like the extra L, the this, the that this person was married to that woman's name also changed. Her thing happened in this place where this other Mandela effect happened. I mean, it's really interesting. It's always pointing towards things like the 7-Eleven job application, 9/11, for instance, right? The official thing is nobody died at the Pentagon, right? There were 0 deaths at the Pentagon. They had reinforced this wall, the Pentagon, the airplane went in there and nobody died. But now 125 people died. Now, but if they found the bodies later, you would see all the early things 0, 0, 0. And at one point they'd say, hey, we found some bodies under there, 125.
It would be broadcast. That's like a big thing. That's a big deal.
It's 125 from the point of origin from the beginning. But those of us who were looking at 9/11 from the first day, we know that was the official story. That 0 at the Pentagon. So stuff like that is pointing towards a fake event.
Because again, remember in all the shit that went on from 2020, they said everyone stay inside because it's not worth just one life going because of it. So that means that the 125 were just, weren't even bothered to be reported on. So nobody gives a fuck about those lives.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't, again, it doesn't make any sense. No.
So,
yeah.
Speaking of those lies, right? So there are a bunch of 9/11 Mandela effects. Are you guys familiar with Tower 7 on 9/11?
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Do you know the actual name of the building? It had a name. It belonged to a group of brothers. Do you know what their last name was? It begins with an S.
Was it Steen?
No, it was the Solomon Brothers building.
Oh.
And now that's what Mandela affected. Now it's Salomon Brothers building. Also, do you remember there's a book that George Bush was reading to these kids in the classroom in Florida when this all allegedly
Yeah.
I remember
that book.
I remember the book was upside down.
It used to be called My Pet Goat, and now it's the pet goat. But can you give me a screen share? I want to show you one that's really interesting that I think people have not really seen. It doesn't get talked about.
Yeah.
It's ironic that there's goat in the title of the book he was reading, and he wrote, if you know about
and
occult
the words that
symbology.
they, the words they recite are crazy. You've heard the words they recite?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was, oh yeah, plane kite must sit still.
Still, just like, well, it was right in your face, you know. Just,
Yeah, you couldn't make it up.
yeah, it's just.
Yeah, and when I used to do 9/11 shows for like 4 or 5 years, the guy I used to co-host with me, Justin, he was very much into like the occult aspects of things. I was more into like breaking down the fakery. We made a really good, you know.
Yeah, we're highly adversed in the occult here at Rise Above.
Perfect. So he would often talk about the symbolism of the two towers and Solomon's temple in relation to the Solomon building.
Yeah, I'm fully up to speed. Yeah.
Now that doesn't make any sense because it's never been the Solomon Brothers building. It's always been the Salomon now. You know what I mean? So check this out. There was an event. You probably know it. It was at a school in 2012, at the end of 2012 in Connecticut, in the United States, where they said, 20-something children are no longer with us. I'm trying to be careful here. But there was one guy that came on TV and was laughing after his daughter supposedly didn't make it out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Is it the one that Alex Jones got in trouble for talking about?
Yes. So her name was Emily. Okay.
Yeah, this one's good.
The last name is Parker. Now watch what happens when I type her name in.
Emily.
Now look at her name, and what does that look like to you? Pronounce it out. Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the word lie in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Emily Parker. Now it's Emily.